The Discovery. Research Log, Earth Observation Station Delta, 9. Lead Researcher, Krill Zathor. Date, 247th cycle of the Galactic Standard Year. The metallic walls of my research station felt colder than usual as I reviewed the footage for the 100th time. The holographic display flickered with images that would forever change our understanding of humans, and perhaps make us fear them even more than we already did. I am Krill Zathor, lead xenoanthropologist for the Galactic Research Council, and I've spent the last 15 cycles studying Earth and its dominant species. My colleagues often question my obsession with these primitive beings, but I always knew there was something more to them. Something that made them uniquely dangerous, yet fascinating. The incident that prompted my current investigation occurred in what humans call Central Park, in their New York City. Our cloaked observation drones captured what started as a routine day, humans engaging in their peculiar recreational activities, young ones playing in designated areas, and caretakers watching from nearby benches. That's when it happened. A human child, approximately 6 Earth years old, was approached by an adult male who wasn't their guardian. Our biological scanners detected an immediate surge of adrenaline in the nearby adults, particularly in one female who appeared to be the child's mother. The situation escalated when the unknown male attempted to grab the child's arm. What happened next still makes my outer membrane quiver. The mother, a relatively small human female, standing at approximately 1.65 meters and weighing no more than 60 kilograms, transformed into something our species has no word for. Our sensors recorded a 312% spike in her adrenaline levels, accompanied by a massive release of cortisol and norepinephrine. Her muscle density increased by 17% within seconds. She covered the distance of 20 meters in 1.47 seconds, a speed that should have been impossible for her physical structure. The male, who outweighed her by at least 40 kilograms, was thrown backwards with such force that our impact sensors registered it equivalent to being hit by a small transport vehicle. But it wasn't just the physical display that caught my attention. It was the change in her vocal patterns, her body language, her entire being. She stood over the would-be attacker, her voice dropping to a frequency that our audio analyzers usually associate with predatory Earth species. "If you ever come near my child again," she said, her words clear despite the guttural undertone, "they won't find enough of you to identify." The most fascinating part? The other humans in the vicinity didn't seem shocked by this display. Instead, several of them moved to form a protective circle around other children in the area. 2 males approached to help restrain the attacker until law enforcement arrived. One of them, a teacher according to our database, simply nodded at the mother and said, "You did what any of us would do." This incident led me down a research path that would reveal something far more significant about human nature than we had ever understood. Their technological achievements, their adaptive capabilities, their resilience, all of these pale in comparison to what I now know to be their most formidable characteristic, their capacity for protective violence. I began collecting more data, analyzing historical records, monitoring social media platforms, and conducting covert interviews through our human passing agents. The pattern became clearer with each new piece of information. Humans, despite their relatively weak physical structure compared to other sentient species, had developed something far more dangerous than natural weapons or defensive capabilities. They had evolved an absolute, uncompromising commitment to protecting their young. Not just their own offspring, but any young human they perceived as vulnerable. This trait wasn't limited to biological parents, it extended to their entire species. As I compile this report, I feel compelled to include a warning to the Galactic Council: any species considering hostile action against Earth must understand this fundamental truth. Humans are not merely protective of their children, they are transformed by this instinct into something beyond our current classification systems. I've seen footage of small human females lifting vehicles weighing several tons when a child was trapped underneath. I've documented cases of humans running into burning buildings, fighting off predatory animals, and even sacrificing their own lives without hesitation to protect not just their own offspring, but any child in danger. But perhaps most chilling was the conversation I had with one of our human passing agents who interviewed a typical human male about this phenomenon. When asked what he would do if someone threatened his child, his response was delivered with a calm certainty that our emotional sensors registered as absolute truth. "I would unmake them," he said, sipping his coffee as if discussing the weather. "Not just kill them, unmake them. And every other parent I know would do the same. It's not even a choice. It's like breathing." The implications of this research are staggering. We've been studying human warfare, their weapons, their strategic capabilities, but we've been missing something far more fundamental. Their greatest weapon isn't their technology or their adaptability. It's their capacity for protective violence. As I prepare to send this first part of my report to the Council, I can't help but feel we've barely scratched the surface. The footage from the park incident continues to play on my screen, and I've begun to notice something else in the data, something that suggests this protective instinct might be just one facet of a larger, even more fascinating aspect of human nature. But that will have to wait for the next part of my report. For now, I must emphasize one critical conclusion: any species that threatens human children doesn't just risk military retaliation. They risk facing something our languages have no words for: the full, unleashed protective fury of humanity. End log entry. Transmission encrypted. Priority level, maximum. Distribution, Galactic Council members only. The experiment. Research log, Earth Observation Station Delta 9. Lead researcher, Krill's author. Date, 248th cycle of the Galactic Standard Year. The Council's response to my initial report was skeptical, as expected. They demanded more concrete evidence of this protective phenomenon I documented. Their exact words still ring in my sensory membranes: anecdotal observations are insufficient for such extraordinary claims. So I designed an experiment. Looking back, should have known better. We selected 3 different human population centers: a small rural community in what they call Montana, a medium-sized urban center in Liverpool, England, and a densely populated district in Seoul, South Korea. Our goal was to test if this protective response was universal across human cultures and social structures. Using our most advanced holographic technology, we created scenarios that would appear to put children in danger, nothing that would cause actual harm, but situations that would trigger the protective response. We had fail-safes in place, or so we thought. The results were, well, I should present them chronologically. Test Site 1, Montana. Time, local midnight. Scenario, holographic projection of a large predatory animal, based on their mountain lion, approaching a child's bedroom window. We expected to observe the parents' reaction. What we didn't expect was the response of the entire community. Somehow, within minutes of the first parent spotting the projection, 27 humans had mobilized. They came with their primitive projectile weapons, yes, but also with tools, lights, and communication devices. The fascinating part wasn't their quick response, it was their organization. Without any central command, they formed search parties, established a safe zone for children, and set up a communication network that would have impressed even our military strategists. When our sensors detected their communications, we heard them referring to a protocol. Apparently, they had pre-existing plans for such situations. But it was what happened next that truly alarmed us. One of our hologram projectors malfunctioned, causing the image to flicker. A local human female, a schoolteacher, according to our database, spotted the technological anomaly. Instead of reacting with fear or confusion, she immediately began coordinating with others to investigate the source. We had to terminate the experiment at that site when we detected them using surprisingly sophisticated methods to track the energy signature of our technology. Their ability to adapt and reorganize in response to an unknown threat was unsettling. Test Site 2, Liverpool. Time, 15:30 local time. Scenario, holographic projection of a suspicious vehicle near a school. This test had to be aborted even faster than the first. The humans have a communication system they call social media. Within 7 minutes of our hologram's appearance, hundreds of humans had been alerted. They didn't just share information, they cross-referenced previous incidents, vehicle descriptions, and even began accessing government databases. But what truly forced us to abort was the arrival of what they call football fans. Our cultural database had failed to inform us that the local athletic team supporters regularly gathered nearby. When they heard about a potential threat to local children, hundreds of them diverted from their planned gathering. The level of coordination between these supposedly rowdy sports enthusiasts and local law enforcement was remarkable. They established perimeters, shared information, and began a systematic search pattern that would have eventually led them to our observation posts. Test Site 3, Seoul. Time, 10:45 local time. Scenario, holographic projection of structural damage to a school building. This final test. I still have difficulty processing what we observed. The humans have a concept they call ajumma, middle-aged women who are often underestimated in their society. When our hologram suggested structural damage that might harm children, we witnessed something extraordinary. These ajumma, along with other adults in the area, formed what we can only describe as a spontaneous emergency response network. Their efficiency was frightening. They coordinated through multiple communication channels simultaneously, accessed building plans, contacted structural engineers, and organized evacuation routes. But what truly demonstrated the phenomenon I'd been trying to document was their response to perceived bureaucratic delays. When official emergency responses weren't deemed fast enough, these civilians began taking action themselves. Our sensors recorded conversations that demonstrated their mindset. Paperwork can wait. Children can't. Let them fire me. These kids are more important than my job. Try to stop us from getting those children out. Just try. The most remarkable moment came when one of our hologram generators was spotted on a nearby rooftop. A group of elderly humans, who our medical scans showed had various physical limitations, formed a human ladder to reach it. The strength readings we recorded from these supposedly frail humans defied our understanding of their physiology. Emergency protocol activation. At this point, I ordered an immediate shutdown of all experiments. But the damage was done. In all 3 locations, humans had begun investigating the mysterious incidents. They were sharing information across their global communication networks, comparing notes, and patterns were being identified. Key observations. The protective response appears to be universal across human cultures, ages, and social classes. Humans possess an extraordinary ability to self-organize in response to threats to their young. Their information-sharing capabilities far exceed our previous estimates. The phenomenon of enhanced strength and coordination in protective situations appears to be reproducible and consistent. Most importantly, they are far more capable of detecting our presence than we had assumed. Recommendations. I am formally requesting an immediate review of our observation protocols. The humans' ability to detect and respond to our presence, especially when their young are involved, has been severely underestimated. More concerning is their capacity to network and share information about such incidents. Personal note. There's something else I observed during these tests, something that doesn't fit into our standard scientific categories. In all 3 locations, when humans perceived a threat to children, they demonstrated what they call moral clarity. All their usual social divisions and conflicts disappeared. They acted with single-minded purpose, and our empathic sensors detected something we've never recorded before, a complete absence of fear when acting to protect their young. As I compile this data, I find myself wondering, are we studying them, or are they becoming aware of us? And if they are, how will they react to knowing their children were part of our experiments, even if no real harm was intended? The thought makes my outer membrane constrict. End log entry. Transmission encrypted. Priority level, maximum. Addendum, request for immediate protocol review attached. Warning, Possible compromise of observation methods. The incident. Research log, Earth Observation Station Delta, 9. Lead researcher, Krill's author. Date, 249th cycle of the galactic standard year. Status, emergency transmission. I have made a terrible mistake. The Council ignored my warnings about the humans' detection capabilities. They dismissed my concerns about continuing our observation programs. Now we face a situation that could lead to a diplomatic crisis at best, and interspecies conflict at worst. It began with what we thought was a minor breach in our protocols. One of our junior researchers, Vexna, became careless during a routine observation mission in what humans call Queensland, Australia. The locals spotted our cloaking technology malfunction, just for a moment, but it was enough. Under normal circumstances, such a brief exposure would be dismissed by humans as an optical illusion or atmospheric phenomenon. But it happened near one of their primary schools. The response was unlike anything we had documented before. Initially, the human reactions followed predicted patterns. Local authorities were notified. Photographs and videos were shared on their information networks. Experts were consulted. But then something changed. A human child, a young female approximately 8 Earth years old, managed to capture a clear image of Vexna during the cloak failure. The image showed Vexna's true form. Within hours, the image had spread across their global communication networks. Human experts in various fields began analyzing it. Their military and scientific organizations started comparing it to other unexplained phenomena from previous years. Including, to my horror, incidents from our earlier experiments. But it was a simple comment from the child who took the picture that truly set events in motion. When interviewed by local authorities, she said, they were watching us. They were watching all the kids. The change in human behavior was immediate and dramatic. Their social media platforms erupted with parents sharing similar stories from around the world. Our previous test sites in Montana, Liverpool, and Seoul were mentioned repeatedly. Humans began mapping incidents, creating databases, and establishing patterns we didn't even know existed in our own observation programs. What truly terrifies me is their efficiency. Within days, they had compiled more accurate data about our observation patterns than our own monitoring systems. They identified blind spots in our surveillance that even I hadn't noticed. Parents began organizing neighborhood watch groups with sophisticated monitoring equipment. Schools implemented new security measures. Children were taught to report any unusual technological anomalies. But it was what happened next that forced me to send this emergency transmission. Yesterday, at 0300 Earth Standard Time, a group of human parents in what they call Silicon Valley managed to capture one of our observation drones. The technology they used was crude by our standards, but brilliantly innovative. They had somehow created a localized electromagnetic pulse generator that specifically targeted our cloaking frequency. The drone's memory core was intact when they retrieved it. It contained data from all our previous observations, including the experiments we had conducted. The humans now had proof not only of our existence but of our intentional testing on their young. The response was immediate and unified. Their global information networks lit up with a single message, translated into every human language. They experimented on our children. The humans' capacity for protective violence that I had documented. It was nothing compared to what we're observing now. Their military installations around the globe have gone into high alert. Their scientists are working around the clock, adapting the drone's technology. Their governments, usually fractious and divided, have achieved unprecedented cooperation. But most concerning are the conversations we're intercepting from ordinary citizens. Parents are organizing. Military veterans are offering their expertise. Engineers are sharing designs for detection equipment. The humans have a saying, it takes a village to raise a child. What we're seeing now suggests it takes just one threat to their children to unite their entire species. Our stealth systems are failing. Somehow, they've managed to develop countermeasures that shouldn't be possible with their level of technology. We've detected their scanning signals probing the upper atmosphere, searching for our observation stations. They're getting closer. Most alarming was an intercepted transmission from one of their military commanders to their global leadership. If they've been experimenting on our children, then they should know what that means. Every parent on Earth will support whatever measures necessary to protect our young. We are no longer divided by borders or ideologies. We are united by a single purpose, to ensure the safety of our children. And if these beings have threatened that safety, then they must understand, we will respond not as nations, but as parents. The implications are clear. We have inadvertently triggered exactly the response I had warned the Council about. The humans aren't just angry, they're organized, motivated, and most dangerously, unified by a threat to their children. Urgent recommendations. Immediate cessation of all observation activities. Full disclosure of our presence and peaceful intentions. Preparation for possible defensive measures. Emergency Council session to prevent potential conflict. The humans have a saying that I now understand all too well: hell hath no fury like a parent protecting their child. We are about to learn just how true that is. End emergency transmission. Priority level, absolute maximum. Warning, potential imminent contact scenario. Addendum, request for immediate diplomatic intervention. The response. Research log, Earth Observation Station Delta, 9. Lead researcher, Krill's author. Date, 250th cycle of the Galactic Standard Year. Status, critical alert. The situation has escalated beyond our worst projections. The humans have not only detected our presence, they have begun actively countering it. But what truly terrifies me is not their technological response, but their psychological one. Let me detail the events of the past Earth Day. 6 o'clock EST, human military facilities worldwide initiated what they call Protocol Umbrella, a coordinated defense strategy specifically designed to protect their young. The level of preparation suggests they had anticipated potential extraterrestrial contact, particularly any threats to their children. Their response has been unlike anything in our records of first contact scenarios with other species. Rather than panic or descend into chaos, human society has reorganized itself with shocking efficiency. Their primary focus? Creating a global defense network centered around their educational and childcare facilities. 9 o'clock EST, their scientific community, working in unprecedented cooperation, began reverse engineering components from our captured drone. Their progress is concerning. They've already identified the basic principles of our quantum camouflage technology. Several human scientists have proposed modifications to their existing radar systems that would make our entire observation fleet visible. 12 o'clock EST, a human broadcast reached our station. It was transmitted on frequencies we thought they couldn't access, in perfect galactic standard. The message was simple. We know you're watching. We know about the experiments. We know about the tests. You have one Earth rotation to make peaceful contact and explain your actions. After that, we will consider any unauthorized observation of our children an act of war. The most alarming aspect wasn't the message itself, but how they delivered it. They had somehow adapted their primitive communication technology to penetrate our most sophisticated encryption. The implications are staggering. 15 o'clock EST, our sensors detected something unprecedented. Humans began establishing what they call safe zones around their schools and childcare centers. But these weren't simple security measures, they were incorporating technology that shouldn't be possible at their development level. We intercepted communications between their military commanders. Commander 1, the countermeasures are in place. Commander 2, every school, every daycare, every place where children gather. If they try to observe our kids again, they'll find it uncomfortable. Commander 1, and if they're hostile? Commander 2, then they'll learn why you don't threaten human children. 18 o'clock EST, the Council finally responded to my emergency transmissions, but their response was typical bureaucratic delay tactics. They suggested forming a committee to study the situation. They didn't understand that every moment of delay was making the situation worse. The humans were not waiting for bureaucratic processes. 21 o'clock EST, our worst fears were realized. A human child in what they call Nebraska spotted one of our observation posts. Within minutes, their entire defense network activated. The sophistication of their response suggests they had been preparing for this moment. The most chilling aspect was the conversation we intercepted between two parents at the scene. Parent 1, they're really here. Watching our children. Parent 2, not anymore. Never again. The humans have a concept they call Mama Bear, a reference to their planet's ursine species and its females' protective instincts toward their cubs. What we're witnessing now makes those bears look tame by comparison. Current status assessment. Global coordination, the humans have achieved unprecedented unity. Traditional political and ideological divisions have been suspended. Their entire species is operating with a single purpose: protecting their young from what they perceive as a potential threat. Technological adaptation, they are advancing at an alarming rate. Their engineers and scientists are working around the clock, developing countermeasures to our technology. Most concerning is their ability to adapt and improve upon our own systems. Psychological state, the humans have entered what their military terms a total war footing, but focused entirely on defensive measures around their children. Their information networks are full of discussions about protecting our kids, not just their own offspring, but all human children. Military response, their armed forces have reorganized around a single doctrine: no alien entity will threaten our children. The efficiency of this reorganization suggests they had contingency plans in place. Civilian response, perhaps most concerning is the response of their general population. Parents are organizing neighborhood watches with military precision. Teachers are being trained in advanced security protocols. Children are being taught to identify and report any signs of our technology. Most alarming is their adaptability. They're not just defending, they're learning, improving, and preparing. Each hour brings new innovations in their detection and defense capabilities. The humans have a saying: you don't know what you're capable of until someone threatens your child. We are watching an entire species discover capabilities we never imagined they possessed. Urgent final recommendations. Immediate withdrawal of all observation posts. Full diplomatic disclosure of our presence and purpose. Formal apology for unauthorized experimentation. Preparation for possible defensive measures against human retaliation. Personal note. I fear we have awakened something that cannot be calmed by mere diplomatic gestures. The humans aren't just angry, they're transformed. We didn't just threaten their children, we violated something they hold sacred, their role as protectors. End emergency transmission. Priority level, absolute maximum. Warning, imminent contact scenario in progress. Addendum, request for emergency council session. Personal note, may whatever forces govern the universe help us all. First contact. Research log, Earth Observation Station Delta 9. Lead researcher, Krill's author. Date, 251st cycle of the Galactic Standard Year. Status, first contact initiated. This will likely be my final report from Earth Observation Station Delta 9. The events of the past few hours have changed everything we thought we knew about humans, and perhaps more importantly, about ourselves. The Council finally authorized emergency diplomatic contact after the humans demonstrated capabilities that shocked even our most skeptical members. They had not only managed to detect all our observation posts but had developed countermeasures that effectively blinded our surveillance systems. But it was their next move that truly demonstrated why we should have heeded my warnings earlier. At precisely 0300 Earth Standard Time, every screen, display, and communication device in our observation network activated simultaneously. The humans had not only breached our security but had managed to take control of our systems. The message that appeared was brief. We need to talk about our children. What followed was perhaps the most unusual first contact scenario in galactic history. The humans didn't send military representatives or government officials for this historic meeting. Instead, they sent a delegation of parents, teachers, and child protection specialists. Their message was clear: this wasn't about politics or power, it was about their children. The meeting took place in a location of their choosing, a small elementary school in what they call Geneva, Switzerland. The symbolism wasn't lost on us. They wanted us to understand exactly what was at stake. The human delegation was led by Dr. Sarah Chen, a mother of two and child psychologist. Her opening words will be recorded in our historical archives. We understand the scientific drive for knowledge. We share it. But the moment you involved our children in your experiments without our knowledge or consent, you crossed a line that we cannot ignore. We are not here to threaten or demand, we are here to make you understand. What followed was not the diplomatic negotiation we had prepared for. Instead, the humans shared stories. They showed us videos of parents protecting their children. They explained concepts like Mama Bear and Papa Wolf. They made us watch security footage from our own experiments, but this time from their perspective. The most powerful moment came when they played a recording of a small human child asking her mother if the sky people were going to take her away. The mother's response was both gentle and terrifying. No, sweetheart. No one will ever take you away. The whole world would stop spinning before we'd let that happen. That's when Dr. Chen delivered the message that would change the course of our relations with humanity. Your technology is impressive. Your scientific methods are advanced. But you've fundamentally misunderstood something about our species. We are not just protective of our children, it is the core of who we are. Every human adult, whether a parent or not, is hardwired to protect our young. It's not a choice. It's not a social construct. It's the foundation of our civilization. She continued, you've been studying us like specimens in a laboratory. But you failed to understand that by threatening our children, even indirectly through your experiments, you united humanity in a way nothing else could. We set aside our differences, our conflicts, our personal ambitions, all because you made our children feel unsafe. Then came their proposal, and it was unlike anything in our diplomatic protocols. All observation of human children would cease immediately. Any future research involving humans under the age of majority would require explicit consent and oversight from human representatives. In exchange, they offered something extraordinary, an invitation to learn from them. You want to understand humans? Dr. Chen asked. Start by understanding this: our greatest strength isn't our technology, our adaptability, or even our determination. It's our capacity to love and protect our children. Learn from that, and you'll understand everything about us that matters. The council, watching via secure transmission, was stunned. This wasn't the revenge or retaliation they had feared. Instead, the humans were offering an opportunity to transform our mistake into something unprecedented, a genuine exchange of knowledge and understanding. But they made one thing absolutely clear: any violation of the agreement regarding their children would result in consequences that, in their words, would make our current technological leap look like a warm-up. Final observations. The humans' ability to advance their technology in response to a perceived threat to their children demonstrates capabilities we had severely underestimated. Their capacity to unite and coordinate globally when their young are threatened suggests we need to completely revise our understanding of human social dynamics. Most importantly, we have discovered that human protective instincts toward their young aren't just a behavioral trait, they are the key to understanding their entire species. Personal note. I will be remaining on Earth as part of the new cultural exchange program. The humans insisted that if we want to study them, we should do so openly and learn from them as much as they learn from us. They suggested I start by volunteering at what they call a school. I am both terrified and fascinated by this prospect. Final recommendation. Let this incident serve as a lesson to future xenoanthropologists. When studying any species, look first to how they protect their young. In the case of humans, we discovered that this isn't just an aspect of their nature, it is their nature. As one of the human delegates put it, you wanted to understand humanity's greatest weapon? It's not our guns, our bombs, or even our ability to adapt. It's the lengths we will go to protect our children. Everything else is just details. End final transmission from Earth Observation Station Delta 9. Status: First Contact Protocol complete. New status: Cultural Exchange Initiative beginning. Personal note: I never expected to end my research career as a kindergarten volunteer. The humans call this poetic justice. After studying their capacity for protective violence, I will now study their capacity for nurturing. Perhaps that is the greatest lesson of all. Postscript: the young humans have taken to calling me Mr. Squid due to my appearance. I find I don't mind it at all. They have also begun teaching me something they call finger painting. I believe I finally understand why humans are willing to fight so fiercely to protect these precious beings. They are, quite simply, extraordinary. End of final report. Archived in Galactic Council Records. Earth status: Protected Species, Special Classification, don't even think about it.